Lots of sighs in this one today, folks. A lot of that existential pressure, if you will. Just like that. Strap in. Strap in. You know the famous portrait that every
Homophobic?
grandparent hangs above their mantelpiece of Jesus Christ?
Yeah.
Did you know that?
No. What?
That's a portrait of Leonardo Da Vinci's gay lover?
What the fuck?
It's fun, huh? We're going to talk about that. Talk about how the Catholic Church wins the longest asshole award in history.
Jesus.
And this is the last Talking Shit podcast before we start Genesis 1. That's
Thank
right.
God.
Next week. We begin at the beginning.
Thank God.
Yes. All right. That's enough. Let's do the show.
I can't believe how omnidirectional this thing is, because I listened back to some of that, the one we did. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't hear that goddamn lawnmower at all.
Right. I was like,
That lawnmower was loud. It was parked like closer than you are.
well, that's good. That means we can fucking do this
Yeah, let's do this.
even more.
Oh, I want to get one of those.
Dude, this camera is the best. I love it. I love it so much. Let me.
Well, I got some cameras, or I got one, and then it turns out it's not compatible with my computer.
Yeah, I got to get a whole new setup. Actually, we're this shit is so old. My computer and all this stuff behind here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. My speaker monitors are torn. They're like those Yamaha NS7s or 6s.
NS10s?
No, the tinier ones. The even shittier ones.
The NS 2.5s.
Yeah, they're horrible. And I mean, that's why you get them, is because they suck. But I have to my computer's so slow that if like I'm recording a track, I'll have to open up a new file and just record just the guitar to like a click, and then import that file into because there's like so many of our conversations on here now. There's so many little videos.
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy. Dude, Squires had a really good idea. I was talking to him
Really?
the other day.
That's weird.
Yeah. He thinks we should do... Go ahead.
No, I was, yeah.
I was trying to take away your opportunity to talk
Stir
shit.
the pot.
Yeah.
No, please, go ahead.
He thinks we should do seasons.
We should do seasons.
Yeah, he thinks we should do seasons of this and do like one book, like, Genesis, and that would be like whatever, 15 podcasts, 20 podcasts.
Right.
That would be a season.
Yeah.
Which I think is kind of cool, actually. I just like...
That's a good idea.
I like watching this thing evolve because it's just like... It's like seems to be totally interlocked to our lives and personal spiritual journeys pretty much by this point now. It's really interesting.
Well, and what's going to be amazing and for future Jeff and Leif is when we have actually started the church and started the Bible, and it just like starts gaining its own momentum. Because
because there's like obviously
hopefully, maybe it
well,
won't.
this shit's powerful. I mean, that's what we're talking about. Not to gain. We're just fascinated by it.
No, exactly. There's nothing to do with us.
Yeah,
Nothing's
exactly.
really talking about it. Yeah.
It's like, I mean, obviously, like, it's fucking everywhere. And like, you also brought up the Catholic Church shit, which I'm excited about because, like, when I saw that text, I don't know much, right? I've been to Mass a couple times. I have cool family members that are Catholic. That's what I should say.
Yeah,
the coolest
I'm not
aunts and
I'm not
uncles.
slagging. Again, it's this whole thing where it's like it isn't the people, it's the organization, and it's the dogma not of like the way it's like ends justifying the means. They just want power. They want you to have to go through them to save yourself. Let that sink in. You have to go through me to save yourself. It's like, well, no, I just have to be a good fucking person in my heart, and and want to be a good person and strive to be better. That's all it is.
I mean,
it has nothing to do with getting on your knees and repenting, you know.
I mean, that might be a
Not
process of
literally,
it if you're
not
messing
literally.
up. Yeah.
Well, but
I mean, let's say, well, I agree with you, but you know, if you have had maybe you've messed up and you need to stop acting a certain way and you need to change, it might get to that level. You can fuck up. Hell is bottomless. You can keep going down. You know, not saying that it's.
No, I get you. It'll be interesting to see what happens after we die.
For real, yeah. And you've obviously had so many experiences. That's actually kind of what kicked off all our talks, right? Is when we would have coffee in the morning. Did you tell me about the near-death experiences?
One time, after the cancer, and during the whole, it's sort of embarrassing, but like I don't give a fuck. After so between 2008 and 2012, when the end of the world was going to happen.
Yeah.
I was just doing the deep dive and kind of went all in on the end of the Mayan calendar and it's all of that, you know. Like, and I had a friend, hi Kate.
Hi.
I had a friend who was going to the School of Enlightenment in Yelm, the whole Ramtha.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Totally. And she gave me her log on. I probably shouldn't say that. They'll probably have her killed now. But I was just really, and all the, it sounds so woo woo. It's all woo woo. And I was doing a deep dive into the woo, right? and like chakras, you know, like,
yeah.
And I would do this thing. I started calling it howl therapy. Because I always watch the same movies over and over that I know is going to make me cry.
Oh, interesting.
And so I would get into this, you know, because it was just me and the boy.
Yeah.
And so I put the boy to bed at like, you know, he was like 5. Put him to bed. And I wasn't doing a bunch of drinking. I wasn't doing a bunch of drinking or a bunch of smoking.
Dad, you can't.
Yeah.
You can't.
I know, but, you know, and I was doing a lot of writing, and I couldn't write while I was impaired.
Okay, sure.
Not, you know. But I would put these movies on and start crying, and I realized at some point you don't have to be sad when you're crying. It's just a release, and you can. And so I started making myself, whenever I would get to the point where there was this one note that I would get to, and that was the howl, and I would make myself smile through it, so it wasn't like I was remorseful, or it was just like it was the energy releasing, right?
Shit.
And it was like a positive thing, and eventually I started seeing this, like whenever I closed my eyes I saw this, like this white light of horizon,
the line,
you know. The line, yeah. And then my friend from the Ramtha sent me this picture of, like, you know, the form, like the I think it's the classic picture of a human form with the chakras lit up,
like a lotus position type.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And the one at your mind or whatever, your third eye, whatever that is like, it makes this white line, and I was like, oh shit,
fuck.
That's what I see when I close my eyes. So I was like,
consciousness.
I was, or like I was thinking like enlightenment, like I'd been like, I'd like howled you know, if you to go full woo.
Okay, I'm following now.
I was under the impression that I had, like, somehow with the howling, I had like decalcified my pineal gland. More so than normal, you know, just like, because apparently that's what, and so that I was sort of like open, and I was seeing whatever. And then at one point I was like, I don't even remember what I was doing, but I like was having this sort of daydream about dying, or it just started happening, where it's like I didn't die, but like I saw, and it's funny because I watched Soul on the plane.
Oh yeah, dog.
And it is sort of like that, where there's the giant ball of light, and once you die, you just sort of like go into the ball of light, and the ball of light is everything that ever was, and all knowledge and all, you know, all that stuff. So it's like I sort of, and that, so, you know, like that was, and I think you and I have had this talk before, but that was like one of the ones where I'm like, okay, well, that's what that seems like maybe that's what happens. I don't know, so I don't know, but those are, I don't know what it is, but I think you have to have some serious fucked up trauma in your life to kind of bounce off of, to get to places where you either see life more or appreciate life more, or I don't know what those words are, about just appreciating it more, or like, I don't know, like see the other side of it, like see it from a side where you might not have come back from, or a different perspective, because maybe like there was, like at one point I went to before my last surgery, I went to the coast in case I didn't get to see the ocean again.
Fuck.
I wanted to say goodbye to the ocean.
Jesus Christ.
And it was me and the boy and the wife. Yeah. And the wife schedules these massages, and I've got a colostomy bag at the time. And I'm like, so you'd like to have a massage, I guess, right? Because I'm not having one. And she took the boy, and I went out on this walk and on the beach, and just walked for way longer than I should have. But it was crazy because I somehow avoided all the rocks, and the beach on the Washington coast is kind of notorious for being sort of rocky. But
it's only rocks.
Yeah, but like that sort of thing where it's like you just want to make sure, if I don't get to put eyeballs in this again, that I remember it, or just say whatever. And then like coming out of that is a I already
it's
said this is full
experience. Woo. Yeah, that's okay. That's what we're
I guess it's literally woo, because you might not make it back.
Well, I mean, maybe like it's I now know I've had near-death experiences just from my crazy life. I didn't know that it was pretty common, but like just because growing up like the Swiss Family Robinson, but like these experiences that take you out of the everyday momentum you build.
So if I puke in my sleep, that's a near-death experience, because most people don't live through that. Is that what you're telling me?
Man, I was just more up with homemade scaffold that had fallen, falling through 5 layers of, from a roof all the way to the sub basement, falling off ladders.
Jesus.
I mean, like, also too, so my family grew up on a river, in the Cedar River, on this really tiny road in Maple Valley, Washington, called Dory-Don. It's a very elite club if you've lived there, because it's like a 7 mile long dead end road. It's like it's so it's like if
it's a closed off community.
Yeah, it's real. Used to be a lot of space between the neighbors, let's say, and so it was this 1913 Boy Scout cabin. And that's what my family bought it for real cheap, and had all this land in the river. So my mom, to get rid of this homeschooling, would just send us river rafting all day, every day. And we would always lose the oars because it was just me and my siblings. So we would like flip the raft over and lay on it and like just paddle. Like no life jackets. No, like I've had friends
in a river
in a river in Washington. There's all these beavers and logs fall. And there's all these jams, and you get sucked under. And like I've literally like with my siblings been like going under a big log and a rock we would have got all fucked up on, and just a kayaker comes by and like pulls you out.
Snatches you out of the water.
Like I can't even tell you how many times. And I've had friends actually like. Luckily, she didn't pass away, but a really good friend actually got sucked into the water right in front of our house there. So it's not exactly the smartest thing. So these experiences that take you out of your norm, where like everything's about to end, and it's like, wait a second, and you do start seeing like it's almost like time doesn't exist, and everything that's ever happened is just like right there in front of your face, and it's a spiritual experience, and then like I guess. So mine was weird because I was 8. This isn't about death, but I had this like trippy experience that I used to think about every motherfucking day. And I grew up again really alone, homeschooled, but we were in this different house, and there was a park next door to our house. All the school kids would play there. I didn't know how to talk to them, so I'd always just hang out in my backyard. And we'd go to church, and they'd always sing about like deers really wanting water, Like there was a song about like, as the deer panteth for the, I was like really perplexed by this. Like there's this other thing living that like has to like drink to stay alive. And like I remember like grabbing a daffodil and just staring at it and like, what is keeping all the molecules of these fucking leaves on this? Why is it not just exploding? And like, it's weird, but like Infinity Cat style, like
Infinity Cats.
Oh yeah, it's this meme of like this cat. This guy just puts a leaf on or like a flower on his cat's head, and the cat makes this like just wide-eyed face, and then there's a billion memes of it just careening through infinity, seeing like equations and black holes and time, and like it's like like that was my first. Yeah, it was like this psychedelic trippy experience, which I wouldn't know about till I was well past my 30s, because I didn't do mushrooms till I was like 34,
something.
Way later. But like, this book and this religion and these different forms of this message that this, I think it's fair to say, magical dude, Jesus Christ, had a long time ago, like. It's all guarded by these people that use ritual and pharisaical kind of dogmatic idealisms to guard it all and say, like, this is how you're supposed to live. This is how you're supposed to be, Do you remember, like, Mark Driscoll? Do you remember that guy up there?
I do. Who is that?
He was like it was weird because he would
Matt Driscoll?
No, Mark. He started. What was that church? He had a mega church that all the hipsters.
Oh, no. Matt Driscoll is the editor. Was my editor at the Volcano, that magazine.
Oh, cool. Yeah. He
Not
had
the same
that piece in. Not the same guy. No. He like got in trouble for having an alias on his church's chat room where he'd go like write shit like, a girl is only useful for a sheath for a man's sword, like all these really weird, like fucking horrible, like misogynistic shit. Wow. But he also would let Vendetta Red play at his church, and I always thought that was the weirdest thing because we had like entire songs screaming about, fuck God. So it was weird.
Okay.
How did we get on him? Oh, these are the gatekeepers, and these people
right.
say you have to live like this. And like, I think it's probably safe to say that you could tell me a lot about this Catholic Church shit because they're kind of they're the biggest and maybe the longest lasting institution of this kind of shit.
Yeah, they're the winners. They've won. Whoever has the most money has the most power wins, and that's them. Like they're their own country.
Yeah,
they're their own country. They don't pay tax. They're they get to rape and kill indiscriminately. So all this stuff coming out about, they would. Oh man, it's like I don't know if that's what this is about. I don't know if that's what we want this to be about. But the part where these indigenous mass graves, by Catholic, if they couldn't indoctrinate them, they just beat them to death.
What?
Oh, dude, that's not my job.
I think it is. I think I'm fine with this. Fuck that shit.
Well, I don't like. It's so disturbing to me that I don't read about it because It's like the rape. It's like the raping thing, and the molesting thing. Only it's murder, and it's like I just don't have the energy to invest to see. I already know that it's a rotten, soiled, defiled organization, and I don't want to. And have you ever? What was the movie I was watching? Did you ever watch? Was it Outlander? I don't know. There was some. I was watching something on there where they send this native girl to a Catholic school, to teach her to be, and they just beat her and and she runs away and they catch her and they beat her and it's just like and that was not even mildly a fabrication. I don't have the energy. It's so hard to know that so many people give their faith, like sign up and look the other way for all of the evil, nasty shit that this organization has done. And I think we should stop calling it a church. I think we should call it an organization, because that's what it is.
It's a corporation.
In the worst sense of the word.
Have you ever? You weren't into video games, were you?
Not well. Stargate and Defender and Asteroids. And, Pac-Man and Miss Pac-Man.
So at like retro bars, you're God.
Atari.
Yeah.
Pong, dude. When Pong came out, it was like, dude, are you kidding me? Boo! 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 This is so rad. Boo! Tank Battle. Tank Battle was amazing.
Snake.
And then my Snake. Do you remember the one with the? That was the computer game where you had like a thing would pop up and you had to with keystrokes. No, you could only turn left or right, and you would have to like make the. I had a buddy who was super into computers when I was like still in elementary school, so he was like 2 years older, and he would give me lists of long distance calling card numbers that he'd hacked. Yeah, it was just like a calling card number. Remember with calling cards, and you'd have to dial this really long number.
Totally. Yeah.
Well, but even before there were the cards, those corporate numbers existed, and he was able to hack into these places. You're like, yeah, and I showed my parents. They thought it was amazing.
What?
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. My parents would have. I would have been like, I would have gone to jail.
Well, but that was 20 years later. Like this was still in the 70s. Okay. This was barely in the 80s. Like we're still in like, seriously, we're in Pong. We have Pong. Yeah, maybe we have Pong. We have maybe we just discovered JoJo's. There were no big potatoes. There were no chicken strips before that. You know what I mean? It was like they were just like you just had a chicken. There were no boneless thighs. I don't even think there were boneless breasts back then. Yeah. But there were no boneless thighs for sure. It's like it's this other world that I grew up in.
Right. And then you probably got into bands once video games got cool. I did
the first Super Mario Brothers.
Oh yeah.
That's kind of the last of my tenure.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so not the ones that are cool where you can, like sell drugs and shit.
Yeah, so that was we got a bunch of money.
That's all I want to do.
I can't remember. It was probably Siren Sister. One of these bands I was in got a bunch of money, and we bought this van that this band had already tricked out like a living room. So it was like it wasn't the full size. Everyone toured in this Dodge van, that van everyone's had. It was like it was this one size smaller. I can't remember.
The 12-seater, not the 15-seater.
Yeah. But it was like, it had a fucking ridiculous engine. It had the craziest suspension. It could haul a double axle trailer with nothing. And we had video games in there.
It was basically the A-Team van.
It was fucking so badass. It was really cool. And we just like, it was the worst financial years of my life. Like, I think I made $8,000 that entire year. Ooh. Yeah, it was pretty great. But we toured. Yeah, we just slept in national parks. But you play video games, and I never got we always had hand-me-down shit growing up, so I never had real video games. And there was this game I got into like crazy, and I'm like, I don't know if it's like Spectrum-y or whatever the fuck. My boys seem to have it too, but I'm like 100% completion kind of guy.
Hyper focus.
Like, if I play a video game, like there will be, if there's a side mission, it'll be done. I don't know. I can't explain it. It's like, it's really, I can't live, so like there was this game called Assassin's Creed, and I really got into it because it was like all sneaky around, and like there was this whole time travel thing where you could like go in this machine and in your own DNA, go back and relive ancestors' lives and see what happened.
What?
Yeah, it was really cool. And if you complete all the side missions, and as the story unfolds, what you find out is there's these like they call them something I can't remember. All the nerds are gonna roast me. Something of Adam. Like,
You know what it's called?
right. Like there's like these artifacts that are endowed with alien power that our creators, these aliens, left us with. And what happens is if you complete all the missions, you get a message from that alien in this temple where she's like, your religious leaders like are manipulating this power to control you. We did not set, you guys are not supposed to live like this. And
That's the greed that
yeah,
shows up.
that's like, yeah. And it's like, I'm like, you know, I'm touring in bands. I still am like actively trying my best to be a Christian, even though logically and realistically all around me it's falling, you know. And then I see this and I'm like, Spah! And even just like how silly it was to me, a video game could open my mind and make me think so much wider about these issues, you know, about what's really going on with this book.
If you think about it, those video games are an art form.
For real.
Right? They have messages, they have, you know, they take you on a journey just like any other art form. And that's awesome. It makes me want to go find and play Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, it was really old. It's probably clinky now. But yeah. I can't play video games now because I don't know. I like what I do. I work on what I do all day. So I took us on such a weird rant, but can I tell you this weird bullshit I found out right before this happened?
Yeah, totally.
Okay, so you were talking about the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
And so like I've been making all these videos as Jesus.
Did you get the outfit?
No, we got to talk about it. I'm so pissed.
What? Did you get outbid or something?
No, it's not outbid. It's like I'm going to find some artists around here and make it now. It's not in stock, even though it said it was. So I rushed it. I spent like $70 extra fucking dollars to get it here.
And then it's like literally, we will.
Yeah, it's the last piece. Like I only need like 4 seconds. I have the green screen.
Right.
But
anyway,
a lot of the jokes that like I'm coming up with are just the fact that I kind of look like BG Jesus. Like I look like your grandma's version of Jesus on her mantelpiece now for somehow. But like I had no idea. There's this guy named, I'm going to probably mess these names up, Cesare Borgia. In 1502, he hires Leonardo Da Vinci to be an architect, okay? And like an engineer. While he's doing this, they fall in love and they start a like pretty intense relationship, homosexual.
Caesar and Leonardo.
Yeah, they're fucking. Like
Borgia?
Borgia.
Okay.
Borgia. And by the way, this is this is brand new, and I literally just looked this up before we got on here, and there's so much on it. I haven't been able to pick it apart, but like this is in the 40 minutes that you've been late, or that we started late, because whatever. I'm gonna edit that part out. Boom. So this is what I figured out in that time. It's what I read about that time. So this guy starts a homosexual relationship with Leonardo da Vinci. In that time, Leonardo starts painting all these fucking paintings of him. Okay, like portraits. A couple years later, his father becomes the Pope Alexander VI, and he commissions all of the paintings of Jesus that are black or Middle Eastern to be destroyed, and the painting that Leonardo da Vinci did of his son to be the picture of Jesus in the Western world. And this BG Jesus is actually this Caesar who was in a homosexual relationship with Leonardo da Vinci. Now, check this out. His father did that with 100% authority and ability given to him from the Catholic Church. And his son, not only was he fucking Leonardo, he was also fucking his sister, and his son also had his brother Giovanni killed. So this guy was like...
Wait a minute. So Caesar had his brother Giovanni killed?
This Caesar,
Yeah, and was Giovanni older?
I think it was his younger brother, but this is all I've been looking up quick.
Spare. Yeah, just wanted to make sure the spare was the left oil spattered.
And like, dude, like... That's the picture of Jesus that's on everyone's... So every homophobic grandma And every homophobic grandpa that are just like pissed that their granddaughter showed up with like purple hair and a really cool new piercing, has a picture of a dude that was made from his gay lover. Like,
yeah.
Wow.
I don't have to look that one up.
Yeah. There's
now, where'd you read that? Where'd you read that?
I saw like a TikTok video, and then I was like, "There's no way this could be real." So I just went to DuckDuckGo. I've been using DuckDuckGo as my search engine, and then I went to Google too. I try to go to a couple because I'm dumb.
You never know. Yeah,
I gotta. If you Google Cesare Borgia, Leonardo Da Vinci, a billion articles pop up on this. A billion. So there's like. It's crazy because they show the pictures of him too. You know, it shows the painting that everyone sees as Jesus. It's like, yeah.
I can't hold this. Hold on. Keep talking. Because I think, can you hear me at all?
Yeah.
No, that's really loud, isn't it?
That's okay.
Yeah, there's a show that I'm pretty sure Jeremy Irons is the dad of that family in.
Oh, there's a show about this too?
I think so. Yeah, Borgia. That's what I was. Borgia, 4 seasons. Yeah. Cast. Hold on here. Let me see. John Dorman, Marta Stanley. Nope, I'm wrong about what's his name, but yeah, there's 4 seasons of it. I bet that's fucked up,
dude.
Watching that one.
How strange too.
Rodrigo Borgia.
Yes.
Is that the dad?
Yeah, that's his dad. He becomes Pope Alexander VI.
All right. Boy. Oh, and Caesar. Oh, buddy. Yep. Okay.
I think so. I think I'm going to buy that. Dan Carlin has a whole series behind a paywall. Do you know who Dan Carlin is?
Who is that? Sounds familiar.
Dude, he's awesome. He's just like, I think he's kind of like a punk rock fan, like pretty liberal, but not insane, like journalist from Portland who's rad. He did journalism forever, but now he just does this thing called Hardcore History.
You were telling me about him.
That's he has a bunch. Yep. So I got a coffee hiccup coming.
He does deep dive shit.
Dude, it's the fucking coolest shit I've ever heard. He has one on Rome, my friend just told me, because I was talking to one of my buddies yesterday about this shit, because I'm like, I don't know anything about Catholicism, but like, look at how powerful, look at how far-reaching it is.
It's and weird, like, because Rome, that's not the Vatican. No. The Vatican is this little tiny spot in the middle of Rome.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. It's its own country.
And the fact that they just kind of shuffle around these pedophiles, like, and it's not dealt with, like, still to this day. It's 2021, still not dealt with. It's like,
and again, I don't know enough about it because I just can't bring myself to deep dive or even like shallow dive into it. But like the dude who, there's only, this is the first time in the history of Catholicism that there have been 2 popes alive at the same time.
Interesting.
Right? Because the guy who was the pope before, the guy who is now, quit.
What?
He retired, and that's never happened before. And they're like, well, what? You have to die, sir. And it's like, no, I'm done. And the thing, what? And so Benedict, I think, is the guy who is, who retired. And then I can't remember who the Pope is currently. And I probably don't have to remember because there's only supposed to be one. And I remember the Benedict and he's still alive, but he he was going to catch a whole shitload of flack because one of the people, I don't know if you saw this, but one of the U.S. Cardinals just got hit in the face with a giant "you were touching little boys" lawsuit. What? Found guilty.
No fucking.
And I'm totally botching this, and I don't give a shit because it's like I'm not molesting people. Okay, you get your story straight, and you tell the people what it is. But this guy, the Benedict, the Pope who retired, was like involved in keeping this guy on above board.
Oh shit!
For like a long time, and that's one of the reasons. Yeah. Shocker! That's like all the way to the top, all the way to the top. Yeah, and actually, he wasn't the Pope when this happened, but Pope John Paul II, who was like the greatest Pope who ever lived, apparently, did the same thing.
What if
Luckily,
we get? Oh, I'm so sorry. What if we get like? Because I'm just like baffled, right? And like, I have no idea if anyone who actually believes in Christ will listen to this shit because they'll probably be too offended. But like, I hope they do. But like, how do we fix these problems actually, right? Because like the experiences I had growing up in a church were very segregated. We weren't allowed to talk to other churches. We weren't allowed to go to other churches. They didn't believe the exact same thing we did about the Bible. And you find that in that community, people help each other a lot, but they don't help anyone else outside really. And they're going to be offended by that probably, but who gives a fuck? It's true. And like,
it's true. That's, so it's divide and conquer. You can't have people openly communicating and sharing ideas and have differing dogmas.
yeah,
You have to be, it has to be tribal. It has to be like, you're either with me or you're against me. You're either with us or against us.
And do you know why that is, in my opinion, especially with the Bible?
Right.
I mean, not evolutionarily, speaking not from science, but like the Bible, there's this weird thing, and through the whole thing, it kind of works like this. Let's say we're Jerusalem, right? Or let's say you're Israel or you're this little town. If you're doing everything correctly in the sight of God, when that army comes to conquer you, you will win. If you're sinning or doing something wrong, that army will now become the judgment of God against you. And that's kind of how everyone lives. And that's kind of how all the messages that are given, the prophets come to the king, you are like, you're sinning. It's always like this. And you kind of see that like carry through everything. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
and that's like, I thought Jesus was here to help people and like make them find heaven through him. I don't know what that exactly means, but like, what if we just make the Catholic Church pay for all the poverty in the world? Yes, you're tax free, but like literally there can never be a homeless person in any city, and that's your job.
Yeah, that would be a good start, but it's never going to be enough. And I don't know, I shouldn't say never, but it's like, what are they going to do? What is their motivation to not just cover their tracks now? Like they if that's all they had to do, if the world court said, okay, Catholics, you have to pay. I'm like, great, cool, okay, we'll do it. Maybe, and they probably fight that also because they're a corporation. They'd fight it with lawyers, and that's not crazy. How you. That's not spiritually how you get better, or turn into a better person or a better organization is by fighting things with lawyers, or by being a corporation or a government, And so, what possible motivation can they have at this point? To be better.
It's just like, it's the obvious. That's like the macro and the micro, right? It's like these stories in this book help you articulate your life, where no matter where you are in it, to find out where the good is, to aim at good. That's what it is.
To aim at good.
To aim at good.
Right. Text that to me.
I think that's probably borrowed from 100 different teachers. I've heard that.
What?
I've heard
aim
that.
at good.
Yeah.
Well, fuck it. We're is there a TM after it? Did they trademark it? Trademark that shit. Aim at good, and then what was the other one? The spoils of Babylon.
Spoils of
Trademark, bitch. Tempted by the spoils of Babylon.
Yeah,
those are gonna be on trucker hats. Aim at good and tempt it. We can't release this one until we get those trademarks.
That's happening soon. So, but that's what it is, right? And it's like, well. Yeah. We can't use all of our brain to look at this. Like, for instance, let me take it this way, because maybe that cul-de-sac we were going on was wrong.
Right.
But like, I was always taught that the earth was made in 6 days, and is only 6,000 years old. And if you don't believe that, you're a bad Christian. If you don't believe that, because that's what the Bible says, then you're going to hell, possibly. Quite literally.
What exactly does the Bible say?
The Bible says the earth was created in 6 days.
what about the 6,000 years?
That's
where's that
yeah.
come from?
There's just a bunch of random numbers that get thrown out in the Old Testament.
They're just like it was like 1,000 years ago.
Well, I mean, yeah, they're like, and Moses and Abraham lived 989 years, and then they talk about certain dates when there's different wars and stuff, and they.
But do they say outright it's 6,000 years old, or are they just dating it because that's when these stories start?
No, as far as I know, and like again, I've been like fucking with the New Testament a lot for the last 2 years, so like the Old Testament's so big. As far as I know, it's the 6 days thing. I know there's a verse that says a day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is like a day to the Lord. So that's what I always use to kind of like be like, well, if God's outside of time, evolution could totally be true. It's like,
But there is no spot that says 6,000 years.
I could get roasted on this one. I could be wrong, but yeah, no, I can't recall right now. I mean, I did listen to Genesis the other morning, so if I can recall, then doing these sober sucks, because I guess when you study high, you gotta take the test high too.
I believe that's called state-dependent learning.
Sure.
And apparently there's something to it.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But I think that's only if you're like 16 in high school, though.
Well, yeah, and that's the problem is like if you wrap up these young children's motivation for salvation in pleasing a God through works, what kind of relationship do they actually have with God? What kind of relationship do they have with the universe? It's it's like scared. You're like scared you're going to hell. So it's like, he only hits me when he drinks too much. Right. Like, you're like holding your hands up really high so he knows you love him still.
Like fear is not a good motivator. I mean, it'll get the job done but like it's not. If you're trying to build beauty, if you're trying to build a beautiful person, fear is not a part of the equation.
No.
Fear and guilt, those.
See how long that lasts.
I'm not saying that it doesn't have staying power. I'm just saying that it's not how if you want to build better souls.
Yeah.
Fear, guilt, intimidation, submissiveness. That's not how that works.
And I mean, it's really funny because like, all my liberal friends think I'm like crazy conservative, and all my conservative friends I grew up with think I'm crazy liberal. But like a lot of my conservative, I shouldn't be, I'm not poking fun at anyone. Politically, let's not do that, right? Yeah, well, we all need each other.
Just go ahead.
A lot of people that are telling me I'm a sheep literally post verses about the Lord being their shepherd, and it's like it goes back
irony.
to that. Irony. It's a comfort thing. Why would you want to go past that boundary? And for instance, if anyone gets mad at this shit, I'm not concerned because I've read the Bible a lot and I read it every day, actually. That's what I thought. So I'm not concerned because I try my best to know what I'm fucking talking about. But if you just go once a week and listen for 45 minutes for a pastor who reads like 2 verses or 5 verses out of this Bible, and you think that's enough, I don't know. That's so strange to me. I don't get it.
It doesn't make you an expert. If you listen to the radio for 45 minutes a day, it doesn't make you an expert.
And a lot of this is me talking to my, earlier self, because I was really, really into this stuff. And, I guess I still am, you can say, because it's like kind of consumes a lot of my time. But, I was so ignorant, and that ignorance balloons up, and you can actually, the path to hell is paved with good intentions. You can be trying your best and still fuck everything up really hard, Man, I don't know where I'm going with this, actually.
Well, I don't either. But the part where you spent a bunch of time and diligence and commitment to this manuscript, this document,
Yeah.
that's not time wasted. I mean, the part, the part of the equation where that wasn't in your control, where the higher ups were, trying to funnel your energies and your thought process. That's not your fault. That like, and the fact that you have rebounded from that and turned it into this this quest,
Yeah.
and this passion for understanding, that's the best thing you can hope for. It's like, it's nobody. My wife and I talk about this all the time, where it's like, when you're a kid, up until the time you're about 25, you're not really responsible for who you are. And the shit that you do and the way you spend your time is not entirely your fault if you fucked it all up. The decisions you make, your decision-making process. But after that, it's kind of on you. And so what you've done, and what you've done in particular in the last 15 years, that speaks to the kind of person you are. And that's where you should judge yourself. You tend to look back on the first 25 years and have this really, if not negative, like kind of bummed out. You're not really, you don't seem necessarily over the moon.
Nah.
With your thought processes then.
Nah.
But it's not really on you. And it's not it was never your job. Your job was to get out of the first 25 years and do this with the last 15.
Man, I hope so. Those are some kind fucking words there, Mr. Reddy. Jesus.
It's not complimenting. It's like, I'm just reporting what I see. It's like, that's my cross to bear, is that I don't do a lot of complimenting. I pretty much just call them as I see them, and a lot of people get the short end of that stick because they're just fucking morons, But it's like, when they're not morons and they're pure people like you, it's like, it's really easy to just be like, dude, lighten up, you're doing great, And I apologize to the fucking morons, but it's not my fault you're a fucking moron.
I was too. Yeah, you could grow. That's the coolest part about like this whole existence is, these stories, if you take them outside of the rigid dogma you're in, whether it be Christianity or Muslim or Buddhism, whatever belief you have, these cults, these myths, they all have this like overarching theme of a hero leaving, going on a journey, and that journey requires fucking everything. You're all your ideals, everything you thought about the world, are gonna die. They're gonna be killed by a dragon or in the fire in a bad way, and you're gonna have to rebuild it again. And you go into the chaos, you make order, and you bring it back to the village, and their lives get to be better because of your experience. It's like, that's so much cooler to me than what I hear on Easter Sunday.
Like, why don't they? Well, they don't want you to. Let's see. They don't want you to bring. They don't want you to fuck everything ever. And I don't mean literally. They don't want you to fuck up everything. They don't want that, because then you're not diligently putting butts in seats and paying their way by putting your ducats into the basket every morning. Like when you're in your 15 to 25 to 35, those are good working years. You need to be working and putting your money in the basket.
10%. Give me that 10%. So
if you're not doing that, that fucks with their program, man. They're not having that. They don't want you to grow an open mind and then come back and tell everybody how they're being sheep.
Yeah. Yeah. And there is like really like, I've met some amazing dudes, amazing women that were like pastors. And they're usually shunned by everyone else. Like I went and worked at this Bible college in Moscow, Russia for a little bit. It was so rad. And I met, cause I wanted to be a missionary at that point. I wanted to like go tell people about Jesus. And so that's how you kind of get into it. Go try it out for a little bit, see if you like it. While I was there, I met these two girls. One of them had married a Russian dude, and the other was her friend, and they were Christians from like Iowa, like the middle of the country or some shit like that. and they couldn't get, because they had like a rough beginning. They were like, I think they grew up in trailer park kind of shit. They did some drug shit. They got arrested shit. But they really believed in Jesus Christ. They really turned their life around, but they could never get a church to sponsor them, to give them money to go live and be a missionary in Russia. They both learned how to speak fluent Russian before they even went over there. And they raised all their own money and moved over there. They lived there, like talking about Jesus.
Started their own church?
They just talked about Jesus on the street, got jobs. One of them, the dude she ended up marrying, I wish I could remember their names, because he got converted to Christianity in jail. He was like a super gangster, which was weird because he was gaunt, like skinny, and like kind of sunken in cheeks. And anywhere I would go with them, we would walk around Moscow and like play music, talk about Jesus and shit like that, Anywhere I'd go with them, this like everyone in the public places would kind of like give him like an extra like look up and down eye, like they were definitely fucking scared of him. Like
nice.
he'd spent some time and he was a legit gangster. But these girls took it upon themselves and were trying to spread the word of Jesus, and that was like always so much more real to me than this weird guy who puts on a suit. What's going on? When the phones get used, all the audio starts cutting out. On my phone,
put on
the
airplane
audio.
mode.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So, the good
Because they're
pastors.
fucking listening, Leif. They're still fucking listening.
That's because I keep talking about the Illuminati. I want in. Anyway.
More money.
But and there really was this guy named Jesus. He really was magical. He really did. He was crucified by Rome for trying to overthrow Rome. That was a true fact. So I guess we're all just bickering and arguing about how you read this book that was left after him. But
this book and again, you've said this over and over. This book was not left behind by him. The book was not just left by him as he was like ascending and being the deadbeat dad and leaving town to be like, I'll be right back. Y'all be cool. It was not written by him. None of it was written by him. None of it was written by the people whose names are on the fucking, maybe, I don't know.
No, there's no eyewitness of the events. No.
Right. None of these guys wrote any of this shit. These are all the followers
stories
of the followers.
Yes.
And so unpack that for a second. So let's say Justin Bieber, right, has been dead for 30 years. Okay.
But we got to remember there'd be no social media or anything, so it's even weirder than that, right? So let's say someone as popular as Justin Bieber.
Yeah, someone as popular. So no, Justin Bieber. We're going to use him as an example.
Okay.
And even if, right, so there's no recorded. So this is in the 70s. Let's call. Oh, you know what? Let's call it Andy Gibb. Andy Gibb. We'll talk Andy Gibb. Oh, no, better yet, because he's still around. Sean Cassidy. All right, not David Cassidy, the younger one who was better looking, had better hits. Sean Cassidy. Let's say he has this great career and dies.
Okay.
No, let's go back to Andy Gibb because he died. Okay. So Andy Gibb dies, right? He has a couple good hits. He's like obviously on the way. Knows a lot of influential people. His brother wrote all those songs. Didn't get credit for it. What doesn't matter. And then like 30 years later, there's this Andy Gibb resurgence, and years after that, but all of his brothers are dead, and all of his fans that really liked him, they're not all dead, but like some of the guys that hung around were there. But those guys start covering his songs, but it wasn't recorded, so it was just like kind of kumbaya, like around the fireplace. And so you got Andy Gibb dies, and his friends and his fans are now like 35 years old, and they sort of start trying to they play the songs for people. Okay, they play the songs for people. So Andy Gibb's friends are playing these songs now 70 years later. They're like, you know what, we should really record these things now that there's this thing called writing and record. I got a 4-track. There's finally 4 tracks. And so they start. This is really horrible.
Well, and see what we'd have to do too is be like, they take the it's not just disco now, they'd be a black metal band, because Jesus was Jewish, but the Gospels come about after the destruction of the Jewish temple. So the entire narrative changes. Like Rome becomes kind of a good guy and Jews become the bad guy because you're not allowed to be a Jew anymore. It's illegal, you know, like, so they'd be changing the entire genre too. Right. Yeah, it is. It's really fucked. And the number one guy, so there's one thing, you know, I was always taught that drugs, like, literally, I thought they made you a moron and lazy and right. But like one of the number one dudes in the Bible, like he wrote like 13 books of the New Testament. His name's the Apostle Paul. He experiences Jesus in this weird way. He's traveling and on the road, he gets blinded by a light. He's literally blinded. And God says, like, why are you persecuting me? He has like a psychedelic experience on the road. And then he goes from being someone who kills Christians to being like someone who is the number one Christian.
Real quick, just out of inspiration and out of solidarity, I'm going to strip down to my underwear.
Right? It's so fucking hot. I'm sweating so hard right now.
Dude, for the last 9 days, all I wore was shorts. I barely wore shoes. Yeah.
Dude, it's been, so we've, this is my last.
Let's, how hot is it there right now, Clay?
I don't know. I threw my phone back.
Well, I want you to go get it. I want to have a little
look
comparison. So how hot is it?
It's only 73 here.
Okay, well, it's 84 here, so I don't want to hear you bitching. And it's going to be 93 today.
What'd you say?
I said it's 84 here.
Dude, I mean, you guys had a crazier summer than us. The only reason we're hot is because in order to live this close to the beach, we don't have AC.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we have fans, and I turn them off when we do this. I can't.
Oh, so you're
barely. I'm dying. Yeah, but
anyway,
now we can edit all the young children out. I've been so I've had my boys for 2 weeks.
Yeah,
and my oldest has got like he's like kind of on the spectrum, I guess is what you'd say. Mm-hmm. Super smart, and he's from a small town, so like being down here of helicopters and all the sounds at night, and he just is having a really hard time sleeping. So I've been experiencing, like, do you remember when you first doing the single dad band guy thing, and it's like it's every 2 hours, every hour you get woken up, and like so I haven't slept in 2 weeks.
Dude, Money had the night terrors.
Oh.
And it's like there's nothing more terrifying than having your kid running around the house screaming at you and looking right in your eye and sort of talking to you, but not really. And you're not really supposed to wake him up. You're just supposed to like make sure they don't smack their head on something sharp. And Cole, otherwise he would sleep through the night. He always slept through the night. Like, and he's got the same sort of auditory sensitivity.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like loud noises, or like when the sirens go by, he's like,
yeah.
You know, or if it, you know, like what, so the flashing noises are
totally.
were always super challenging. But yeah, the night terrors, man. No fun.
Yeah,
and waking up every 2 hours for you. No fun.
I'm just so glad that I'm past, you know, they're really, really good kids. So
that's awesome.
Working my butt off. So
well, they're
they're
only good because they have good dad and good mom.
Yeah, I got lucky on one of those fronts. Like definitely they're definitely growing up different than I did. I'll tell you that. Like and some of that's good, some of that's bad. Like I got to get them working.
They're still pretty young, dude.
I guess when I was my son's age, that's when I got my first job. When I was 11.
You were 9. Yeah, it's early, dude. He's got a couple months. Wait till he's, like 9.5, and then fucking crack the whip. Look, pay your own way.
For real.
Get up on the scaffolding.
That happened for toothpaste. We had to start chipping in for toothpaste.
The cement bucket.
Straighten these nails.
Stop crying. I don't care if you got a sunburn.
Both my feet are broken. God damn it!
Oh dear. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think we should. I think as I watch this evolve, I'm really interested. I kind of like talking to you about it too. So like, get everyone involved, I guess. But like, I'm really interested in maybe just starting in Genesis and trying to work our way through the. I mean, it would take a long time, obviously, right?
Right. It should.
Yeah.
And then I mean then I do like the idea of starting at the beginning and going through it and like just talking about the whole thing. Because that's the name of the thing, right? Is let's get high and read the Bible. So let's.
Yeah.
And the first person I asked, Lewis Broom, name drop. He was like, "Well, do you read the Bible?" And I'm like, "Shut up, Lewis."
We try.
I didn't say that. But
Bro, so you was getting high and reading the Bible. We're getting to it.
Yeah.
It's so dense. Well, and actually, what I kind of like about this is really what we've been doing. It's just like breaking ground over the last couple of months because we've been kind of throwing everything we know at the wall and being like, wait, what about this? What about this? So it's like we're establishing kind of like our base,
like
our grounds.
Our foundation.
Yeah.
The foundation of our church. Yeah.
Yeah, because we know this guy is real. We know Jesus was around. We know what was written about him in the New Testament is probably not what was historically accurate.
Hold on. Let me. Okay, you keep saying this, and I know you're right. I mean, you're the wealth of knowledge here, and I'm just the person trying to keep us honest. You keep saying we know he lived, so there was definitely a Jesus Christ. There's no doubts. There's no missing clarity. There's no lack of clarity. There was a Jesus Christ, yes or no?
Yeah. I mean, compare what we would use to judge any other.
I'm looking for a yes or no.
I would say yes, because I've tried to prove it wrong. I've tried to be like,
okay. And you say yes because why?
There's this historian named Josephus, and he has a small little section in one of his writings. Because you can't really trust much. You got to take the New Testament, with a grain of salt. You got to
Sure.
Try to think about it, and it was written by Christians, and it was influenced by Christians, and the narrative changes, and we know this, we see it, you can read it. So like, I can't really trust those to prove that Jesus is right. But then there's this Jewish historian who has nothing to do with that, who mentions James, the brother of Jesus, who was super popular, amazing Jewish figure who amazing, just gave to the poor, never owned anything.
Right.
So while mentioning him, he goes, James, the brother of Jesus, the one they call the Messiah. And so in a Jewish historical document outside of the Bible, there is reference to James's brother, who was this man, Jesus, who they called him, who was crucified. So we know he's...
And that's the one spot?
Yeah.
That's it?
Yeah.
Dude, okay, see, this is the shit we need to unpack here. It's like, so you're saying we're confirmed, we're green lighting this project because one dude says the brother of this guy was the guy?
Well, I mean, there's all the books and the people that died for him too, so it's like that confirms.
Right, but I'm saying that like the one uninterested party, there's one reference by one uninterested party.
Yeah.
It's like, again, it's okay, all right, but that's okay. So let's just there's the Bible. So from now on, it's the Bible,
totally,
air quotes, and the Jesus Christ guy. We're like, I don't know for if we're gonna do this for real.
Yeah.
If we're laying our foundation, we can't just stampede or parade forward, assuming or green lighting this guy.
I agree. I think that's what you said. I'm here to represent, to the best I can, the fundamentalist view of Jesus Christ.
What the words say. What the words say. Like we're not.
Yeah.
We're going to do some serious fucking interpreting, but we're not going to make anything up. You know what I mean? We're going to bring it to the new, bring a new interpretation, but we're not making shit up. And so I think it's really important to start, again, if this is like us breaking ground, One guy, one uninterested party. And so is that Old Testament or New Testament?
Well, see,
Josiah?
Josephus. It would have been happening.
Josephus.
It was after Jesus's death, right?
How far?
I think
How long
like,
after?
I think like, let's look up. I'm assuming like 68 AD. Let's look it up.
So 70 years after this one dude. Jesus Christ, this guy won't go away.
Oh,
man.
sorry,
Talk about
no.
staying power.
93 to 94 AD.
So a fucking 100 years later, one
Well, he
dude
died
was
at
like-
30, 34, you know, so.
Okay, all right. So
Yeah.
what, 60 years?
Yeah.
One dude. That's the only reference by a Jewish person to this guy.
Yeah. I mean, that's the reference I use because I tried to be like, gee, for a long time, I was like, Jesus, this is fucking real. And I tried to prove it, but like, you know, that to me I gave up on that. I'm like, you know, to me, that's enough that I think this guy lived. Because also you find out that Jesus wasn't the only human to do this. Like many people.
Yeah. You were saying that.
Even in the Old Testament, like so being a magician was like a job back then, like a good one. You remember we talked about it before, but Moses and his brother Aaron performed signs in front of Pharaoh in the Old Testament, and Pharaoh has magicians that do the same thing.
Wait. So we didn't. Moses and his brother, who?
Brother Aaron.
Brother? They did what now? They performed signs?
Yeah. So when Moses is given the information, or excuse me, when Moses is given the instruction from the burning bush, it says this burning bush says, "Go to Pharaoh and tell him to let my people go." And Moses is not really good at speaking; he's really nervous. So God says, "Take Aaron, take your brother-in-law Aaron. He's very good at speaking." And so when they stand before Pharaoh, Aaron performs this trick where he takes his staff and he throws it down and becomes a serpent. And all of Pharaoh's magicians do the same thing. They throw down their staff and they become a serpent. Now, I'm pretty sure Aaron's serpent eats all theirs, but like, you know, it's still
cockfighting. Kind of like cockfighting.
I mean,
every time the burning bush comes up, I can't think of anything but the Three Amigos. This must be the singing bush. It's just so funny.
I just can't. I can't think of how, if it's like right there. If it's a burning bush that makes you see God. How it's literally right in front of your fucking nose. Like,
Yeah.
you don't think he didn't smoke that shit?
Right. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like,
Yeah, and I bet. Well, again. I wonder if translation would prove that burning bush is like smoked some plant or other.
well, luckily when we start going through the Bible incrementally, we'll find out.
Oh, good, nice.
Yeah. See,
Right.
and maybe,
Are we going to start Old Testament?
I think we have to, right?
That makes sense to me.
Right? Yeah. And I mean, it's huge. It's so big. I don't even know how we get out of that.
Limited fucking content, man. We'll be doing this for fucking years.
Yeah, we're like, I'm literally seeing us at like 80 years old with like weird IVs in us, like, well, you know, Beelzebub.
I told you he was writing their sins in the sand and not just doing something goofy.
Oh man, I'm gonna film that next week.
You're gonna go down to the beach and
I'm gonna film like Jesus walking, like, cause I have this like weird idea of just like Jesus nowadays just doing shit, like Jesus like smoking a joint and brushing his teeth, like getting ready for his day, like
that's like just in the bathroom.
yeah, just living life.
So
like,
good. Yeah.
Just like yelling at my kids to do their chores.
Normal Jesus.
Yeah.
Single dad Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who
but,
saw
like,
this coming?
I was thinking about like Jesus walking on the beach, like in a hard time, and he starts smoking a joint, and then like he looks back and he sees like no sets of footprints, and he looks down at the joint, and the joint was like, I was carrying you the whole time.
When there were no footprints, I was carrying you.
Like, yeah.
That was the cheesiest fucking man. No, you weren't. I was alone, motherfucker.
Well, I see, like, I went so fucking. It was so we got this really cool opportunity. I got this really cool opportunity once. I was working for Duff still, and like I met Terry Date, and then Terry Date was like a fan. That guy that did all those rad records was a fan of my band, and then our band did like a reunion show, and then we were writing all these songs because that's kind of how that band worked. It was just like, I wish we could have had like a life manager, but we would write like 30 songs in 2 weeks, you know, and got to go in and make a record with him, and he's like one of my favorite fucking producers of all time. Like, actually, this is really funny. Were you a big Deftones fan? Do you like the Deftones at all?
I wasn't a giant fan. I really like the vocal harmony that's sort of their thing.
Dude, yeah,
is like as good as the Alice in Chains one, but it didn't. But they're very very popular, right?
That's the weirdest part. What they have is an insane fan base. So they sell 900,000 records every time, but they never got radio support. They just are good live, and so people like them. But he did all those records, you know, and so we're up on the hill. We used to have a rehearsal space right up by Vita, and we're all, you know, we're practicing. Terry's going to come check us out, and Zach's like looking around the room. And he's like, "No one fuck this up, okay? We need this guy to do the record." Like, he's like, "Listen, no one, like Leif," and he's right. He was totally right. He's like, "You can't just fanboy out. You can't just start talking about the fucking Deftones."
Remember that time you did the Deftones record? That was really cool.
Right, exactly. And like, you know, like there was a pretty strict rule of me never talking on radio interviews with the band.
Like, another time? This one time?
Yeah,
at band camp?
Don't give the homeschooler the mic. Exactly.
You know what the Bible says?
Like, very real. This is very real. Yeah. So he's giving me the pep talk to make
Fuck
sure
that guy, man.
smooth.
You know what? You should have done all the interviews.
Zach's pretty good at interviews. He's
he's
crazier than I am. Definitely. I love him in a good way.
So
we go have a beer with Terry across the street. I think it's like the Unicorn or something like that. So we're like having a beer. We sit down, and it was like right then. And Zach's looking around pouring beer, and he's like, "Dude, White Pony's so awesome." Like the very first thing out of his mouth.
Zach says that?
Yeah, it's just like,
that's hilarious. He just blows it.
Blows it. It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was amazing. But in that
he
time,
he did the record. He did the record, didn't he?
Dude, we talked all night. It's fun too, because as he gets drunker, there's something in my eye.
Zach or Terry?
Terry, his baseball cap will start going sideways, you know?
Yeah.
And
yeah,
we got all these Dimebag stories about like,
oh nice,
how Dimebags. What now?
Did he do Pantera records?
Everyone.
Oh man. Wow.
Oh my God. What? Yeah. Well, that's dude. I'm chained. God, I'm crying uncontrollably. What's going on?
It's because there's no THC in your eyeballs.
That's exactly the problem. Doing this sober is hard.
There's too much blood in your alcohol stream.
Yeah. Actually, let me grab something for this, because I don't want.
Yeah. Don't cry. Don't cry out loud. Just keep it inside. Learn how to hide your feelings. Get you had a seizure. Jesus Christ.
Can't hear you.
How about now? So what were the things? Aim for good? Sorry, go ahead. Terry Date.
Yeah,
Terry
we're going
Date.
back there.
Yeah.
Oh, Terry Date. We'll finish that one.
Finish that, yeah.
Well, oh yeah. So
Sideways the cap. The drunkie got the sideways the cap. And
there was a lot.
The
Unfortunately.
Pantera.
Yeah. We'll fuck all that. We'll say it later. But we'll go Bible stuff now. But yeah, for me, what happened then was, I just couldn't. I was, you know, you just have one of those times in the studio where you fucking suck, can't play. Don't sound good. Nothing's in tune. You know, we did a couple Warped Tour dates, so my guitars were all like melted, and it was just horrible. And at the same time, there's a bunch of other stuff going on. My mom, this house we had built since I was 13 years old, we were like losing, and she never told anyone. There was just all these horrible things going on. And one of my buddies was like, "You need to read the Book of Satan." And I was like, "You know, I probably do." So I did, and I started like going into these like more like I read the Bhagavad Gita, and like going into these different religions, reading different books, reading different philosophies, and I went pretty hard in it. And in that time, like I got really anti-Christianity and really anti-Jesus, and I kind of I was aware of it. You know, it's like, well, you were so hardcore into it. How can you not swing a little bit mad? And I do definitely feel more in the middle, where I'm just like, I'm comfortable with not knowing. I'm comfortable with not understanding. I don't understand. I don't speak ancient Hebrew. I don't speak ancient Aramaic. Like, I don't, you know.
You don't have that reference.
And I mean, I've read the book so much that I'm familiar, but like, Jesus Christ, this stuff is really deep. We're talking about all of the, how could you understand it? You're part of it. You're part of the fucking distortion. How can you tell how big the balloon is when you're a little marker dot on it and it's being blown up, and you're part of this thing? Like,
and so with that, don't you think that maybe instead of not even just like we should do all of it, not just the Old Testament, New Testament, but the uncanonized stuff.
Oh yeah, I would love to. I actually am very unfamiliar with that. I need to like buy. I've just been on this. I'm trying to finish this ancient Samaria shit. It's just such a dry course. It's like such a very dry, boring course to take. So it's like, but
well,
yeah,
it's written on tablets. So just try not to eat them. It's dry. But yeah, because like, and I don't know, I need to study more about this, but I feel like it was in 300 AD, Constantine is on a war campaign, and it doesn't look like he's going to win, and he prays. And that night he has a dream. He sees a cross, and the dream says, "Conquer by this." And they go out and they win this battle. And so when he comes back to Rome, he makes Christianity not illegal. He starts making it the religion of the empire. Yeah, the default.
Yeah, and by the way, so like that's his one and only experience with God and Christ, and he's.
I thought that he did that on his deathbed.
I'm definitely not high to remember these things.
I need the bell. I need the fact check bell.
Yeah. I'm saying this to be fact checked because it's fun, and I just want to keep it going. But I'm pretty sure this is right. And he picks all the fucking books of the Bible. So all the books that are floating around at the time, he's the one that's like this one. Like I know this is real. The Apocalypse of John, which is Revelations, this insane rad book, the last book of the Bible. They weren't going to pick that as the last book of the Bible because the Apocalypse of Peter is way easier to read, because the Apocalypse of John has this really weird event where Jesus comes down like from the heavens, kind of maybe on a horse, and like reigns on earth for 1,000 years before the real tribulation happens. So before all the really bad shit goes down, Christ comes back
on a horse
with the armies of heaven.
An interstellar horse.
On the armies of heaven, and he bounds the devil for 1,000 years.
Are they all on horses? Is it an army on horseback?
I think so.
I think they'd have a hard time beating anybody now. Well, I mean, I guess if they're interstellar and multiverse horses, maybe it's like the wood ape. Maybe it's like Bigfoot. Did you hear that? Like maybe Bigfoot is like interdimensional.
What?
Yeah. Maybe. That's a theory of the North American Wood Ape Society.
Oh, really? That he can slip? How did he? Is it like he evolved the power?
Unclear.
They just know he can slip in and out like Rick and Morty.
Well, they don't know it. It's just a hypothesis. Maybe that's why he's so hard to catch. And why they never find scat. Apparently he won't poop in this dimension.
I was going to say, he's a shy pooper, Bigfoot.
He's got many dimensions to choose from, and this one he's just, those people they'll find it. They'll eat it. They'll do something creepy with it. I'm not going to leave it for them.
They'll sell it.
Not to digress.
Jerk off too. But really, if you were like looking back, humans are weird.
Yeah, humans are fucking weird. So when do we start the Bible?
Well, I don't know. I guess we
Bible
could
study.
maybe even start next week. That's another thing. We should probably actually start a Bible study.
Yeah.
Let's get high and read the Bible study live stream.
Okay.
So me and you, like on a Wednesday night at like 9 or something like that, you know?
Yeah. Like
We have to figure
CCD,
this out.
like catechism school.
Yeah, right? I think so.
I told you about that. I hope, did we get that one where the whole
first
withering
one?
and yeah, well, I guess the first and second.
Yeah, they're going to go up at the same time because one's just audio. So,
Oh, right. Okay.
yeah.
All right. Well, where are we? Are we good?
I think
Did
we
we
salvaged a pretty rough day. Yeah, I think this is great.
I really appreciate you. I was late. I'm so sorry.
And that's it, guys. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week. Smooches.